Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Tamara and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time being here, I run a beauty and travel blog, LOVEROFSHADES.com. If this is not your first time here and you already been visiting me, at this point, let's just go ahead and be friends and go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If this is your first time here, however, go ahead and look at me getting tongue-tied already. However, go ahead and subscribe to my channel as well. I cover all things beauty as well as travel as well as some lifestyle. So we're going to continue on today with the Shades Academy initiative, and I'm going to show you how to do eyeshadow. So of course I don't have any on right now, and there's different techniques with eyeshadow, but today I'm going to cover how to do a basic eyeshadow. However, it's still going to look sultry and nice. Now, a few disclaimers. My allergies is kind of acting up today, so I apologize about that. You also might hear a little bit of background noise, and I can't do nothing about that. Again, I live in New York City, but I will try my best to make sure that the background noise stays as minimal as possible. The last thing is, dang, I forgot already. Oh, the last thing is I'm actually going to be attempting to record 3 tutorials at the same time, so we're gonna see how this work out, child. But anyway, if you want to learn how to do eyeshadow really blended in or even up your eyeshadow game, then go ahead and stay tuned and I got you. Okay everybody, so I went ahead and switched lenses just so you could be more up close and personal and actually see the work that I'm about to put on my eyes. So y'all gonna catch all this raccoonness. Hey y'all. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the prep, because this is very important before you put on any eyeshadow product. So the first thing that you would need to do is prep your eye. There's different products that you could use to prep your eyes for eyeshadows. However, the most two common ones is concealer as well as an eyeshadow primer. Now I know that concealers, there are some certain makeup artists that kind of shun concealers as being used for eyeshadow base. However, the truth of the matter is there are a lot of makeup artists as well as beauty enthusiasts that use concealer as an eyeshadow base. So like for example, I have my concealer here. This is by Fenty Beauty. Now obviously the concealer is really light. However, you know, this is a nice, you can definitely use this as an eyeshadow base. Another one, for example, which is kind of like, this is a paint pot and this is by MAC. However, you know, you can definitely use this as an eyeshadow base. This is the Laying Low by MAC, and this is more on like a light taupish brown color. And then there's also of course P. Louise eyeshadow base. I should have pulled that up. Okay you guys, I'm back. This is the P. Louise eyeshadow base, and this is really good, especially if you're trying to do like cut creases, halo eyes, anything dealing with cutting a crease. These are really great, and they actually come in different colors. So if you're doing more colorful looks, pastel looks, neon looks, etc., you can use like the very lightest shade, which is like stark white, and you could put that on your eyeshadow, on your eyes to prep them, and then apply any color, and it really helps make the color pop. However, I do recommend, regardless of the fact, that you do use some sort of eyeshadow base before putting on eyeshadow. Now why the base? You need to put the base on because otherwise if you don't, it's very easy for eyeshadow just to kind of, you know, shift and move and rub off during the day. Let me just take a color right here and put it on. Okay, now if I just left it on like this without any sort of, you know, eyeshadow primer, which I didn't do, you know, it's very easy during the day for this to kind of rub out, and then you can't really see it much anymore. You see that? Very easy for it to do that. So in order to, once you prep it though, however, the eyeshadow actually grabs onto the base instead of your skin, instead of your eyelid, and it helps set it in place all day. Sort of like how they recommend using a foundation primer, you know, before putting on foundation, because it kind of grabs onto the primer more so than to your skin, where it could shift throughout the day. Another disclaimer that I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys before we get started as well is I'm going to try my best to feature as many black owned products as possible, and I'm about to fight this lens because it keeps adjusting and I'm ready to punch it, but we're just gonna work through it. All right, so this product here is not exactly black owned. However, it is collaborated with a black artist. So this is by Graftobian. I love this palette. I use this, a cream palette. I use it for a lot of things, and this is the Inclusion collection, and this is inspired by the makeup artist DeShawn Hatcher, and I love her. Like, I love her a lot. I love her work, and she's an amazing artist, and she is a black artist. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a neutral shade. So let me just show you guys the color. I'm gonna take maybe this shade right here. And now with this, you could actually take your finger, you could take a brush, you could take a sponge, although I wouldn't recommend a sponge. I normally go over it with the sponge. This time I'm just gonna take my finger, I'm gonna take my middle finger, and I'm going to put this all over my eye. Now I went ahead and put this on my eye, and as you notice, since it's a little lighter than my skin tone, it kind of helped neutralize out my eyelids, because as you probably already noticed, I always refer to myself as a raccoon baby, and that's because I have deep set eyes, so my eyes kind of sink back into the socket a little bit, which is what caused the deepness around my eyes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, since I already applied the concealer or the cream or base onto the eye, I'm going to go ahead and take my sponge. Again, you could take your finger, you could take your brush, whatever you feel most comfortable with. I'm going to go ahead and take the sponge, and I'm lightly just going to tap this out. You see this right here? What that does when you're like tapping out the concealer or the eyeshadow base onto your lid is you're helping making sure it's evenly distributed, because therefore by the time you put the eyeshadow product on, you don't want it to be clumpy in certain areas and more transparent in others. So you need to make sure that you start off with the even base. I'm going to use the Berries by JUVIAS Place, and this comes in a mini set, but it's also sold individually, and this is by JUVIAS Place, and I love JUVIAS Place products. And I'm going to go ahead and take this pink right here. Ooh, I think I got this on my finger. Yep. I'm just going to go ahead and take this pink right here in the middle, this soft pink. And I'm going to go ahead and take my eyeshadow brush. If you need a refresher on what brushes to use for what, I go ahead and check out my very first video for Shades Academy, where I cover makeup tools, which is brushes, sponges, you know, etc, etc. So I'm taking my blending brush, and I'm going to focus on blending this strictly into the crease. So what I'm doing is, as you can see, I'm kind of like tapping it into the crease, and then I'm moving in small circular motions. You could also do windshield wiping motions if you want as well. It's really up to you. I'm just making sure that it's strictly into the crease. A tip that I have when applying eyeshadow, like I'm actually looking down, and you'll see me looking down a lot because my mirror is right underneath the lens. But if you're looking, like say for example, you're looking straight forward into a mirror, tilt your head back just a little bit, because it actually forces your eyelid to go flat, and you get a better gauge of what you're doing rather than looking straight ahead. So when you kind of tilt your head back a little bit, you could really gauge and see where the product is going, how much has it blended out, or do you need to blend some more, or is it enough? You get what I'm saying? So just that's a nice tip that I always recommend you use. Okay, so right now you can see that I have a bit of pink, like that soft pink, into my crease and onto my crease, and that's exactly what I want. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take a smaller crease brush, or a smaller blending brush. You see this deeper pink right here is more of a fuchsia pink. I'm just going to go ahead and apply a little bit of that. I'm going to focus that color in the outer V. So the outer V, let me break down the shape of the eyes. Regardless of what type of eyes you have, this is the outer corner or your outer V. You'll hear a lot of beauty vloggers say outer V. This is the inner corner right here, like at that very, very corner. That's called the tear duct. And then this underneath here, on the top of your lower lash line, that's your waterline, okay? So I'm going to focus this strictly onto the outer V. So like what I like to do, as with all makeup applications, I always recommend you build up, because especially if you don't know how pigmented a product is, or how full coverage your product is, I always recommend you build up and not put on, you rather not put on enough and build it up versus putting on way too much and then you have to take it off. You get what I'm saying? You don't want to sit there and have to take your whole makeup application off, especially if you're already further into the process. So I'm focusing on my outer V. So first I started off tapping, and then I'm moving this a little bit into the crease and just kind of feathering it out like this. You notice how my hand, the grip of my hand on the brush is more toward the outer area. When you bring it up here, like towards the very base of the brush, that's just really aggressive, and you're going to put, it's very easy for you to put way too much product on. I rather just, you know, go back. Like the further back you go, the better, because you're doing this more light-handed, and therefore it's easier to have better control of the brush rather when you're all the way at the base. So right now we need to focus on covering up the base of our lid. I'm going to go ahead and take my Sephora brush though, because it's an eyeshadow brush but it's way fluffier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into that soft pink right here. And I'm going to tap this lightly onto the lid. So notice how I pretty much used the same color that we started off in the crease all the way onto the base of the lid, and then we used that deeper fuchsia pink more for the outer V, and that's exactly what we want. You also notice that I didn't really bother to bring the color towards the outer V because we're going to blend that out in a second. So what we're going to do next before we focus on blending everything out is, you see this color right here, I accidentally put my nail into it earlier. This is a shimmer shadow and it doesn't have a particular color name. Does it? No, it doesn't. So what I'm going to do is, because it's a shimmer shadow, I'm going to take my middle finger and swatch it like this. And while I have it on my finger, I'm going to lightly press it onto the lid, focusing solely on the base of my lid. I'm not going to focus on bringing it towards the outer portion of my lid, just the inner portion only. And you see how just adding that little bit of shimmer onto the base of the lid, you see how it already makes that eye pop. And the reason why I like to use my finger rather than a shadow brush or, you know, any other type of brush is because I feel like it's just something about the finger, it already warms the product up, and and I have better control of where it goes on the lid and how it goes on the lid. So all I do is just lightly tap it out, and it gives this my lens needs to get it together. It gives such a nice soft gradient. So now we're going to focus on blending it out, and I'm actually going to take my fluffier eyeshadow brush right here that we started off with, and I'm just literally in circular motions focusing solely on the crease as well as the outer V. This is the Beauty Rest by Colored Rain. Now these colors are, again, I've never used this palette before, but they come with 6 different colors. I'm going to focus solely on this shimmer color right here. And again, I'm going to take that with my finger and I'm going to focus only on the inner corner of my lid. And I actually changed my mind. I'm going to go ahead and just take my smaller blending brush and I'm going to lightly tap that on, but focusing only into the inner corner of my lid. Okay everybody, so I went ahead and put on the rest of my complexion, including the concealer underneath my eyes. So now we are ready to work on the waterline as well as apply the lashes, which I'm going to do off camera, but I want to finish the eyeshadow look with you guys. I'm going to take the Berries palette and I'm going to take those same 2 colors, the 2 pinks right here, and I'm going to take my small detail brush and I'm going to work this into my waterline. So as far as the excess powder right here, the fallout from the eyeshadow, I'm just going to go ahead and take my powder brush and see if I can get that off by just a simple sweep. You could also take, if it's kind of stubborn, you could take some setting powder, put it on your powder brush and kind of sweep it up like this. You want to sweep it away from the face, not onto the face, okay? Okay, so I really hope that you enjoyed, and again, I hope that I broke the steps down enough for you to follow along. But as always, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section below. I'm going to use all the products, list all the products that I use in today's tutorial in the description box below, so I got you guys there. And like I said, most of them are Black-owned products. So go ahead and show them some support and check them out and buy their products if you like them. And then I want you to go ahead and please comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. Listen, I'll be working hard on my videos, y'all. So like, we need to be friends, we need to engage, we need to like, we need to do all that stuff. And while you're going ahead and subscribing, go ahead and follow excited about that, and I'll keep you guys informed about that. And in the meantime, stay safe. Please, COVID is still out here. Stay safe on these streets because, you know, they not for us out here right now. I mean, they never have been, for real, for real. So just be safe and be careful. And until next time, take care, God bless, and I'll speak to you guys later.